Hello, everybody. Happy late New Year. I haven't been on here in a while. I've been out enjoying my life because that's what you have to do sometimes. Sometimes you have to just take a break from social media and this YouTubing and just enjoy your life. And so that's what I've been doing. But anyhow, we about to talk about how these fairy tales have really conditioned our mind as women in general, not just black women, but I'm also about to talk about how fairy tales mess us up as black women. Now, as you know, we've all seen these Disney movies, and it all starts the same way. It starts off as a woman, a young woman in her early teens in distress. She in distress. She's not living the best life, and she's looking for a savior. She's looking for a man to come save her. Now, what type of effect do y'all think that has on us as kids? It's conditioning our mind into feeling like we have to have a man to come rescue us. And not just any type of man. He got to be a rich man with money to pull us out of the poor conditions we're in. And see, that's who that king with money in these Disney fairy tale stories represents. He represents that high value man who's gonna come in our life, sweep us off our feet, and take us out of the poverty situation. We as black women and black females and young ladies cannot afford to be conditioned like this anymore. Because we all know that in the hood, in these black neighborhoods, it is not like that. If you are a black woman or a young black girl and you meet that special somebody that's black, the chances are his family is not going to be rich. He's not going to be a king. He's not going to have any money or no white horse to come rescue you and pull you up out of poverty. A lot of times their family is struggling just like your family is struggling and they barely getting by. And most black men with money, we already know what's up. They're conditioned to believe that a non-black woman is better than a black woman. So they go the other way anyway. So that's something to think about if you choose to stay in Blackistan. But even if you go over to the other side and date non-black men, but there's still no guarantee. You can be over there dating non-black men who are dusties. But let's get back to the king or the high value man with money. Haven't y'all been paying attention to a lot of these high value earners with money, black or non-black? A lot of times they care more about their material goods than they do the women in their life. But in these Disney movies and romance movies, they make the man with the money seems like the saint, the good man, when in reality this is far from the truth. There are a lot of men with money who are the opposite of what these movies tell us. In fact, there are rich men in power right now, ruling over this earth and doing a terrible job at it. Pay attention to what's going on around you. They're dragging this world straight to hell with all this greed. Greed, greed, greed. And the more money they get, the more evil they become. The more less human they become. You look in some of their eyes, you don't see a soul. And it's because they sold their soul for that money. But we are taught through these fairy tale cartoons and fairy tale movies that these men are actually supermen. They're your heroes. They're here to come rescue you in distress and save your life. When that is a bunch of bull. Yes, I said it, a bunch of bull. There is no such thing as no Superman. There is no such thing as no Prince Charming. And yeah, he may be a Prince Charming. But guess what? He's human. Just like the rest of us. Money does not make him superhuman. In fact, money sometimes corrupts a person and makes them more evil. Sometimes it will turn a good person evil, but only if they're mentally weak. This explains why when some people get a lot of money, they begin to change. That money corrupts them a lot of times. And while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna go on ahead and say it. A lot of these Disney movies promotes pedophilia, because if you just get into some of these women characters like Cinderella and all of these women are like below 16. The more younger she is, the more easier it is to manipulate her. But in that time, it was okay to do that. And even men of the day still think that this is okay because they're conditioned by watching Disney movies also. They're not looking at the long-term effects that it may have on us as young ladies and women. Society has taught men to be selfish and not care about the woman's feeling and what she goes through. It's all about him and what he goes through. We don't live in a black male worshiping culture. We live in a male worshiping culture. A culture where a man is supposed to be worshipped and a woman is supposed to be treated like a slave. Another thing I see what these fairy tale movies teaches us is to not pay attention to the man's character. Just pay attention to his status and his money. To be totally relying on him for money, which it should be like that, right? But for many of us, it's not like that. I've heard stories of women who lived in that position, who had a life like that, but it wasn't like that. Because when that man got ready to, he left them high and dry, cleaned out the bank account and everything. I read a story on here on YouTube, on a YouTuber's page, of a woman who married a man and totally relied on him. And when he died, he didn't leave nothing to her and left everything to one of his relatives. This is not me trying to scare women away from being housewives. But I will say to be cautious and be careful and have you a little side hustle stashing back money, because you don't know. You can never be sure. People do not love the way they used to, and even back then they didn't love like how they pretended to love. It was all an illusion. The one last thing I see that we as women was conditioned into believing of, once we get in a relationship, is happily ever after. This is what a lot of these Disney movies show us. You finally get with the prince you want, and y'all live happily ever after. They leave out the parts where that prince may change and be a cold-hearted you know what. They leave out the part where that prince may put his hands on you and beat you. They leave out the part where you two are going to have disagreements and argue. Sometimes you're going to hate one another, not want to be around one another. They leave out the parts where you two may be together and have kids, but one day y'all are going to have to part ways. Even if you stay together, one of you got to die. Both of you are going to die. That's obvious, but one of you are going to die before the other one. So, you see, my friends, there is no such thing as no happily ever after. A lot of us were tricked through these Disney and romantic movies. I'm gone, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share down below. Peace.